I've invited David Simpson, Chair of the Scrutiny panel with Radian, to join me today on TPAS Member Chat. I'm interested to know about David's opinion on Scrutiny and the strategic direction of Scrutiny during this period, and how he thinks Scrutiny can add value to his landlord during this time.
Hello, David, and welcome to TPAS Member Chat.
Hello.
Hi. David, can you just paint a picture about what home is like for you?
What home is like for me? Well, I live in Surrey. I've lived in Surrey for about 25 years, and I'm originally a Londoner.
Very good. And it's happy weather today, then, is it, down there?
Well, we've been experiencing sort of midsummer weather until today. It's all overcast and cloudy now.
Well, I'm basking in it here in Manchester, so thank you very much for joining me anyway.
For passing it on, yeah. Okay.
So, David, can you tell us a little bit more about your role as Chair of Scrutiny with Radian, and how are you accommodating Scrutiny right now?
Yeah, sure, okay. Well, I've been Chair of Scrutiny for approximately 3 years. In fact, since inception. So a fair bit of experience, and a lot of experience before that with other roles. But at the minute, it's very, very difficult. Very difficult. I tried to get a meeting together via whatever platform, not a physical meeting, but we haven't all got the same thing. So I was getting input from text, I was getting input from email, I was getting input from telephone calls. And I think one of the things that we have decided, and because we've just gone through, or just coming out the other end of the merger, we were talking about getting some iPads or Surface Pros for everybody so we could all have virtual meetings because of the new geography involved. So I think that's going to be speeded up as soon as we can get our hands on the technology.
And obviously, you've just mentioned that you're going for a merger, which will bring a whole range of topics to your table as Chair of Scrutiny. But have you thought that your topics that you're discussing in Scrutiny are going to change in the immediate sense once you get over the logistic problems of tech? Will you be responding to the situation in a Scrutiny role?
Yeah, very much so, very much so. I mean, as you can imagine, two different organisations had two very different approaches to scrutiny. One was very sort of factual based and had a full-time scrutiny group with full-time members, whereas the other group had a chair and I think possibly a vice chair, and then on a project-by-project basis, people either joined or left. So. And then they actually scrutinised, dare I say, in a different manner anyway, which is not to say it's wrong or anything like that. It's just different ways of doing this.
And you're learning all the time, I guess, about all these problems and coming up and these challenges that you're trying to address as chair. Have you got any kind of quick lessons that you can share with people that might be listening?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we spoke about. 2 years ago now, with the Grenfell thing, was that, how do you think the unthinkable? And at the time we thought that was pretty unthinkable, but now with this COVID-19 thing, that is even more unthinkable, if that's not a lesson on how not to speak English. But it's like, how do you respond to crisis? One of the things that we've done, and I can't believe that other people have shut their scrutiny, because at this time, during this COVID-19 crisis, I think scrutiny is even more important.
And why do you think that, David? And if you're going to make a case for, say, there might be a chief exec out there listening right now, what kind of case would you make for why scrutiny is even more important right now when we're all in crisis?
Well, because we're actually experiencing it. It's not a hypothetical or a theoretical case. This really is the unthinkable. So how flexible is the organisation in actually responding to this? And one of the things that I think is probably the most important, if you can put things in an order of priority, are the communications. The communications between staff members and groups, and obviously between staff themselves and between residents. Any combination you like to think.
And we're hearing across the TPAS tenant scrutiny network, which you're part of, aren't you? There with us, is that we're hearing from tenants that some landlords are pausing or stopping or slowing the formal side of involvement with tenants, which includes mainly scrutiny groups. Have you got an opinion on this?
Yeah, I certainly have, and I just cannot believe that reaction. As I said earlier, it's now that you need the scrutiny groups to actually look at what's going on, look at what's happening, and we need to actually look back when all of this is over and ask the questions: what did go right, what did go wrong, why did things go wrong? And I think one of the things people are going to take a look at is, as I said before, the communications. One of the things that I think some organisations have been very good at, and others not so much, is rather than just posting things on websites so that the customer, has to go and search out the message, it's actually getting the message to the customer. Now, not just housing associations, but all sorts of different organisations have either been guilty of that or not. And I really believe you have to make it very easy for customers, tenants, we're all the same, to actually get whatever messages you need to get out there.
Have you got any positive stories of any, tenant-led ideas or things that you've been involved in or heard about, any positive stories that you can share with us that can be done?
Well, one of the positive things that I can actually say from my own personal experience is the backing that Radian are giving at the minute to actually trying to keep scrutiny going as far as possible during this crisis. And I think they themselves understand how important it actually is to keep going. I don't think you can sustain things just because there is a crisis. Certainly not for, 6 to 8 weeks or however long this lockdown is going to be. So at the moment, I'm just looking internally and just thinking, I've really got a job to do here.
No, absolutely. We've all got our work cut out for us. Well, thank you very much for your time, David. We really, really appreciate it. And hopefully we'll stay in touch and keep hearing more stories from you.
Yeah, it'd be a pleasure, Rae. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Bye.
Bye-bye.